Hey y'all, John Troy here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today I'll be giving a presentation on healthy eating. And before I kind of get into my research and the meat of my project, if you will, I want to give you all a little background of why I chose this topic and maybe why I chose healthy eating as my expert project topic over others. And I think my first ever exposure to the importance of food was in middle school. I remember reading books like Chew on This and Omnivore's Dilemma, and having school-wide showings of Fed Up, a food industry documentary. At the time, I didn't really realize the magnitude of the topics presented, nor was I really taking advantage of all the learning opportunities available. And as I was thinking about a topic that I wanted to spend more or less a school year researching, I thought what better way than to research what it means to eat healthy. I thought by learning about healthy eating, I'd learn things that would prepare me for college as well as for my years beyond college. Next, I want to talk about the history of healthy eating. And like anything with time comes new advances in innovation. And in the case of eating, there have been plenty of different and obscure ways to use food as a means for weight loss. Here's a good infographic of the history of healthy eating. It's kind of hard to see, so I made a tiny URL if you guys want to check that out. Here's just two examples of the that I took from here, so you don't necessarily need that right now. But anyway, one diet proposed by Horace Fletcher in the 1890s was that if you chew your food 32 times or once for every tooth you had, you'd lose weight. And as absurd as it may sound, this practice made him millions of dollars and gained recognition from popular celebrities like Upton Sinclair and John D. Rockefeller. And another diet is this concoction of lemonade, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup, coined as the Master Cleanse from the 1940s. And it was basically, if you drink this every day for anywhere from 4 to 14 days, you'd lose weight. And this is the only thing you drink. You wouldn't eat anything else. This was your diet. And so you can imagine that the people who engaged in this diet definitely lost weight, but that came at the cost of nausea and vomiting. And I guess the irony of all this is that foods and diets and how that relates to health today is that it's actually not too far off from our past. Like, just today I looked this up, and there's something called the cookie diet where you literally just eat cookies, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's all you eat for the whole day for however long it takes to lose weight. And it kind of baffles me the kind of methods that are proposed to lose weight, and it's kind of funny. I don't know. And in these next few slides, I'm going to be talking about healthy eating through different lenses, so that we can better understand what healthy eating actually means. And the first is the government's perspective, and I think it's important to understand the government's role in healthy eating because they establish things that the public should follow for their own good, right? That's what the government's supposed to do, I guess, right? To look out for the people, to do everything with the people in mind, the public in mind. And in the Department of Agriculture and Department of Health and Human Services 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines, they set the standard for what's healthy and what's not. And in it, they have all the recommended intakes of nutrients and what you should eat and what you should not eat to be healthy. One of the statistics their guideline cites is that about 117 million adults have one or more preventable chronic diseases, many of which are related to poor quality eating patterns and physical inactivity. Another statistic that they cite is that healthy eating patterns are associated with the reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer, so like colon and colorectal cancer. And all this is suggesting is that this is suggesting is that if we try and actually follow the dietary guidelines put in place by the government, we can prevent chronic diseases and improve the overall health of the public. And it's important to mention that in these guidelines, there's no mention of any specific diet you should follow. Which is weird because, I always thought, you know, diets is beneficial, right? It helps you lose weight. It helps people who are obese, right? It's supposed to, yeah. So, but if the government doesn't include anything about diets and whether or not you should follow them, do the doctors do? Let's find out. And two trendy diets that have gained popularity and made its way into several health blogs and websites alike are the Paleolithic diet, or the paleo diet, and the ketogenic diet. Basically, the paleo diet is just eating what our ancestors ate, right? So whatever they eat, we try and replicate it as best as possible, and that's the paleo diet. The other diet is the ketogenic diet, is basically a high fat, adequate protein, and very low carb diet. So that's kind of like the gist of these diets if you don't know already. But surprisingly, right, doctors don't really approve of either of these diets. And in terms of the paleo diet, they say that diet impacted our genetic evolution. So although what our ancestors ate might have been healthy at the time, it may not be healthy today. And that diet, centuries or however long ago it was, no longer contains the same variety of nutrition. And there's going to be an increase in chronic diseases caused by both undernutrition and overnutrition, right? Because it's easy to, it's easy to not follow this diet, right? Or get more nutrients from this diet or less nutrients from this diet, right? It's very hard to follow a strict paleo diet or a strict ketogenic diet. As for the ketogenic diet, though, doctors and scientists are wary of the actual benefits of the diet because there's little long-term evidence available. It may seem to show positive outcomes in the short term, but in the long term, there's no guarantee of whether it's effective nor if it's healthy. And instead of focusing on these diets, right, doctors encourage many to avoid the hype surrounding these diets and its potential health benefits. They'd much rather you focus on trying to eat a balanced diet. Because there's simply no guarantee that you'll be getting, all the nutrition, all the right nutrients that you need from these diets. And next I kind of want to talk about social media and how that plays a role in healthy eating. And as social media continues to establish its place in today's culture, topics like nutrition and wellness, among others, have created an avenue for all kinds of helpful resources and sources of inspiration. For example, Arusha Neokonam, this is her, and this is her Instagram account, who is formerly anorexic, attributes her recovery to social media. She says, they meaning the social media health influencers, she says, they gave me fuel and a goal to work toward, which made the dark times and hard moments in my recovery easier to push through. I saw a reason to succeed. I saw something I could be. And so, Neokonam's story is a comforting reminder of what social media can be, right? A platform where we can uplift and encourage one another so that we can live stronger, better, and healthier lives. And here's just a bunch of Instagram wellness accounts. The point I'm trying to make here with this slide is that there's a huge platform for healthy eating and wellness that's so easily accessible, right? It's so convenient that we have all this information so close to our fingertips, right? You can just look it up on your Instagram or whatever, and it's so readily available. And so I strongly encourage you guys to explore this community if you haven't already, because there's just so much information, so much good recipes, a lot of good things available here. And so on the other side of things, though, some may feel that researching what it means to eat healthy is unnecessary because it's so straightforward. And sure, while I might agree with that statement to a certain extent, the greater concern surrounds those who exercise healthy lifestyle habits that affect the opposite of healthy. For example, in a survey from the article in the National Center of Biotechnology Information of D1 athletes, only 3% of men and 11% of women correctly identified. For example, in a survey from on the other side of things, some may feel that researching what it means to eat healthy is unnecessary because it's so straightforward. And sure, while I might agree with that statement to a certain extent, the greater concern surrounds those who exercise healthy lifestyle habits that are in fact the opposite of healthy. For example, in a survey from an article in the National Center of Biotechnology Information of D1 athletes, only 3% of men and 11% of women correctly identified recommendations for the correct percentages of protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and only 37% correctly listed the role of vitamins and 54% the role of protein. Maybe the more alarming thing about this is that for the 6 years prior to that survey, there have been plenty of nutrition education and recommendations given to them and available to these D1 athletes. And ultimately, what is at stake here are people's health. And if athletes who are given nutrition education to live a healthy lifestyle can't even describe basic facts on nutrition, we can't expect those who are not informing themselves about basic nutrition to live healthy. And so here's a survey that I conducted on healthy eating. Almost 3/4 of respondents said they know what it means to eat healthy, and more than half of respondents said they eat healthy. That's a lot. That's the greater majority. I feel like I still have things to learn, even after researching this topic for a while. So I encourage you and respondents to research more what it means to eat healthy, because I think you'll be surprised with what you are able to learn. By no means am I saying that my responses are false and that they're lying and they have no meaning, right? That they're just empty claims, but rather emphasize the importance of learning what healthy eating entails early on, so that you'll be better equipped for the future. And finally, I can't sit here and talk about healthy eating if I haven't even actively tried to do so myself. So I've been trying to cook and bake some healthy dishes these past few days or this quarantine time. And here's me cooking some healthy chocolate chip cookies. And you might be asking, what makes these cookies healthy, right? Basically, I'm just substituting all the unhealthy ingredients with healthy ones. And here are and I'll get to what the ingredients I use later on, but here are the recipes, and here's the recipe cookbook that I used. It's called Everyday Detox, and this book not only has some great recipes, but also a lot of good information on food affects our health and our bodies. And I highly recommend you check out this book if you can. These are some of the final products and the ingredients here, and you can see how there's a lot of substitutes here. Instead of using sugar, I guess, for the cookies, I use maple syrup, and instead of flour, I use like almond meal, and butter I exchanged out for coconut oil. So a lot of healthy, natural ingredients here. Also, shameless plug, Bach.camera. This is where I hope to post these pictures and also other cool stuff like that. And some last words. I think it's important that we focus on eating healthy because none of those bogus diets in the media, but rather focusing on eating healthy in general. After all, eating healthy should be fun and painless. Shouldn't be something that we dislike or despise. And here's my bibliography. And if you guys have any questions relating to the information presented in this slide deck, I encourage you to email me those questions. It's kind of hard, I guess, because I'm not giving an actual presentation. So if you guys have any questions, email me at 20choyj51@stu.smuhsd.org. And thanks. Have a good day, guys.